Hey guys, welcome back to Foreign Reacts. Today we're going to be checking out another similar video that we've done in the past. This one's going to be Americans living abroad. First time you realize America really messed you up, right? So it's a TikTok trend, and we're actually just reacting to the second series of this particular trend. So if you guys have any suggestions, a particular video that you would love to see done, leave those in the comment section down below, and it shall be done as long as we see it. And yeah, it's interesting. But either ways, guys, have a good day, and I hope you guys are doing well, healthy, and everything. And we're gonna do this reaction video right now. So if you're not subscribed, I'd really appreciate it if you guys actually subscribed. We're trying to grow this channel exponentially, and we want you guys to be a part of the Foreign Reacts family. So subscribe, and let's get right into the reaction video, guys.
What is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
Okay, I have type 1 diabetes and I lived in Costa Rica. The very first day that I was there, my insulin pump stopped working. This was like some weird fluke, unrelated to anything else. But I didn't have a doctor yet or really know where to go, so I went to a pharmacy because I needed to get long-acting insulin so I could still treat my disease. And when I went to the pharmacy, the insulin was $20 for a vial. In the United States, I pay $322 for that same vial.
That's Costa Rica.
I also want to add that I got the insulin over the counter without a prescription. In the United States, I have to see my endocrinologist 4 times a year to get a prescription for a medication that keeps me alive.
American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
So I am an American living in Paris. I studied in both a French university and an American university.
Right on.
Due to my American university, I'll be paying off my student loans until I'm 50, maybe even 60. Whereas for my French
40?
degree,
Probably 1,000.
nothing. No, because it was free. Free 99. F-R-E-E. Gratis. Gratuit. Complete, well, not completely free, but still free.
American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
I was living abroad in the UK and I had a job interview. And of course, growing up in the US, you're conditioned to dress so professional, be prepared, have your resume, and all these things. So I was like that really much. And I remember walking into the interview and they were like, "Oh, well, you look really snazzy." And I was like, okay, that first of all, never heard that before in an interview. Then the secondly, they didn't even ask me anything besides, "Hey, Kyle, would you like a cup of tea?" And I was like, okay. Never was asked that before ever in any other job interviews. We had a tea and we literally like sat and talked about all sorts of stuff, personal life, their life, and we just had a laugh for like
That ain't no
45
interview.
minutes. And right afterwards, they're like, "You're perfect for the job. You fit great."
Nah.
It was really crazy to me, and it was a really fun experience. I wish the U.S. would just chill out sometimes a little bit more.
American currently living
No. They asked you no questions about the job. They asked you nothing. Just chill, drink some tea, some coffee, have a vibe together, and that's it. Nah, that's bogus. No. Ain't no way I'm going to be employing somebody and I care more about their personal life rather than their capability of the job. I don't believe that one, period.
abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
I'm going to keep this really short and sweet.
Okay.
When I knew America messed me up was when I was living in Canada and they gave me 12 months paid to hang out with my kid.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, and then just in case, you could take 18 months and they'll still pay for it. And your employer has to give you your job back.
Oh, hell.
That can't be real.
That can't be real.
But it is.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really
was when I moved back to America. I lived in Japan for 15 years. The first day I was in Japan, the first train I ever rode on, I saw people wearing masks. And I asked my then fiance, "Oh my gosh, is there some kind of like epidemic?" And she said, "No, this is just what we do during cold and flu season. People wear masks to protect themselves." I was like, oh, for 15 years, I could buy masks at the convenience store, the grocery store. I always had a box on the shelf by my front door. So if I was not feeling very well, I'd grab a mask on my way to work. No big deal. So when I came home and the pandemic started, I thought, finally, all Americans will get the importance of masks. Surely they won't politicize that. I was wrong.
American currently living abroad.
Well, you know, I have a very strong view on, you know, the particular mask weird thing. I would just look weird, but I would literally be that guy dressed up in, you know, my suit and tie and have a black mask over my face. And literally, I would do that for the rest of my life. Like, literally, without a pandemic or epidemic or a demic or a slemic or whatever I'm saying doesn't make sense. I would literally do that because I think wearing a mask is a very fruitful thing. It does a lot of things for you in terms of personally. When you have a mask, the likelihood of you having have to worry about like your breath, how your face looks. There's a lot of things that gets hidden due to the fact of a mask, right? There are a lot of disadvantages with the mask. I will not lie to you in terms of security reasons, but for the most part, it is really beneficial in terms of you somebody sneezing, somebody coughing. A lot of people cough and they don't even, you know, no principle, no decency. You know, so they sneeze at you. You know what I'm talking about? They talk and they spit at you. I could be talking right now, spitting at a computer or my iPad, my devices, right? So that. There are a lot of benefits with it, but it's something that I actually truly had no issue with.
What is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
9 months before I moved to Ireland, I was there on a vacation, and the person I was with, we had a car. And we stayed at a golf resort kind of in the middle of nowhere because it was the off season, so it was actually really affordable. There was a gated front entrance to this golf resort, and there was a small little village on the other side of it. And because we were pretty far back on the property and it was January, so the weather was kind of crappy, we often would drive if we needed to run to the store for anything or to a restaurant. We became friends with the front gate attendant because we were in and out all the time. So one day we're driving to go to dinner, and I had asked him, hey, what's the legal limit for like drinking and driving here? I wasn't planning to do anything stupid, but I'm also a public health major, and knowing that Ireland is known for its drinking culture, I was curious, so I thought I'd ask. The guy looked at me completely dumbfounded. He's like, what? So I clarified the amount of alcohol you can have in your system and still legally drive. And he says, none?
What is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
I didn't get
When
that.
my grandfather was dying, we went to Scotland to go and see, him for one last time. And at one point, my grandfather had a prescription that needed picking up. So I pop out of the car, run into the pharmacy, and I've got my purse on me. I don't have very much money with me. I just didn't. And I went in, and I'm just like, okay, I'm here to pick up for my grandfather. This is his name. And I've got my passport out, ready to hand it to them, like to prove that I'm who I say I am. They're like, oh, yeah. How's John doing? Here you go. Here's his stuff. Hey, let him know that if he ever needs help with this, you can just call us. We'll send it on down to him. I said, thank you. And then I stood there, and they're like, why are you still here? I was like, but I need to pay. And they're like, no, you don't. He's old. Everything's free. I never felt more uncomfortable leaving a building than I did in that day.
Yeah.
It was awful.
That was awful.
If you're an American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really...
So I've been living in Italy for about 11 years now, 12 years. And I moved here to be with my husband. And in the U.S., I got my tubes tied after my third child and decided I didn't want any more, but he didn't have any, so we decided to do IVF, and I got pregnant with twins. At 13 weeks, I lost one, and once I lost that child, they considered me a high-risk pregnancy and took me off work from that moment on until 3 months after she was born, and I was paid 100% of my check. 100% of my check. And then until she was 1, I got to come home 2 hours a day to breastfeed her. 100% paid.
Point captured.
What is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
Oh, I was in Grenada for a couple of weeks, and every single day between 12 and 2, they would always close down. Everything would just close down. And I was just like, what is going on? And they were like, well, we need to go home and have lunch with our family, just enjoy, just relax a little bit. And that was when I realized every other country out here really understands the value of spending time with your loved ones and just actually taking a break, except America. America just teaches us to work for labor.
That's right.
Instead of actually living. So don't procrastinate on your happiness, sis. Your worth is not in labor. It's a luxury. Do what you want to do and be happy.
What is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
So when we first got here, we had to go straight into quarantine. 2 weeks, no big deal. We thought everything was taken care of. Well, we got a letter from the electric company while we were in quarantine. Couldn't understand it. It was all in German. We tried to translate it. Google Translate wasn't really doing anything for us. We couldn't understand it. So we were like, we'll just go in person, once the 2 weeks are over. Well, on the last day of quarantine, our power gets shut off. And we're like, what the fuck? Like, why? So we finally...
You get a mail about electricity, about your... That's pronto. You got to get on that. Come on now. Pronto. If you don't understand it, pronto. Immediately. Come on now.
After a few hours, get a hold of somebody who can speak English, and they laugh at us, and they were like, are you American? And we were like, yeah. And they were like, yeah, we don't shut your power off just because you don't pay. You have to go through a whole system before we shut your power off. I've never been so embarrassed, because we really were like, we'll pay anything, like, please turn our power back on. And they were like, yeah, we don't shut power off here.
What happened then?
It's good to know.
American currently living abroad, what is one time that made you realize that America really messed you up?
All right, so when I lived in France, I went to a cafe with my friend, and outside the cafe there were a whole bunch of baby strollers with human babies inside of the strollers, and I was super freaked out, and I asked my friend, why would anybody leave their babies outside unattended in their strollers? Aren't you afraid of something happening to them? And my friend looked at me and said, why would you assume that anything would happen to a baby? Who would be so horrible to do something to a baby? Yeah.
Not so in America.
You're an American currently living abroad. What is one time that made you realize that America really messed?
So I don't currently live abroad, but I did live in Japan from September of 2019 to March of 2020, and the amount of things I realized while living abroad is astronomical. So I live in New York, and this varies state to state, but generally the average cost for an individual for health insurance is about $500. If you have a family, your family plan is going to cost you about $1,000 a month. In Japan, I paid $23 a month for health insurance that covered everything. And don't even get me started on the American food industry, because it's disgusting. Not only could I feed myself for 2 weeks on $50, but food regulations in Japan are so strict. I ate the exact same way I would in America, and I still lost 40 pounds. 40 pounds.
Tell me an item you bought that you were greatly disappointed in due to poor product description or false advertising.
I bought a banana duck. I got it off of Facebook Market.
Oh, we done right there. I don't need to go any further. That's some different stuff. But yeah, she was hella loud. Man. Got me messed up, bro. Got me a headache. Woo! She was very loud. But either ways, really interesting video. If you have any suggestions, leave those in the comment section down below. I'll be checking out more of these videos. They're pretty interesting. But either ways, guys, I'm out of here. Peace.